usually doing stand-up. So we found a window where we could come shoot with us. And it was just like one day for that one scene and stuff. We were in the middle of fucking nowhere. The same day that we shot him, we shot not Carrie, but something else that took place out in the middle of nowhere. And we were about 15 minutes away from base camp where we shot. We found this strip and we would just go back and forth and stuff. So he came out. I remember, he was like, Kevin, I have a question for you as the author of this piece. I was like, okay. And he goes, okay, so I keep talking about the unwritten book of the road. I said, okay, yes. And he goes, now, am I serious about that? Do I believe in the book of the road? Or am I just fucking with these two assholes? Like, he treated his job very seriously. And I was like, I don't know, George. Honestly, I've never really thought about it before. I think you put more thought into it than I did. I said, but if I had to guess, I think when I was writing it, I just assumed he believed in what he said. He's like, that's what I thought. I'm going to play that intention. And I was like, you don't really have to treat it all that seriously, man. You play the guy that blows the trucker for heaven's sake. And he was just like, Kevin, you don't understand anything about acting. He's like, acting is about communicating an intention. You have to approach everything with honesty. So in order for me to play this part, I have to convey it as honestly as I can. Then he went and was like, oh. But he was, when we were done shooting with him, we had to set up whatever the next thing was. And I was like, I'm gonna take a ride with George back to base camp in the van, the passenger van that would bring him back. So it was a 15-minute ride, and it was like a half an hour lighting change and reset up for the next sequence. So I got in the van and took the ride back with him just so I could say hi and thanks and have a little time with him. Because on the set, you're kind of shooting and you're busy and shit like that. So I'll never forget, he gets in the van and the driver had the radio on. It was like Britney Spears or something. And so I was sitting in the back, George gets in the passenger seat. And he's like, can you turn this shit off? I don't want to listen to this. And I was like, oh, you don't like Britney Spears? He goes, I don't like any fucking music, man. He's going, I've been alive long enough to have heard every permutation of song there is. I love you, you don't love me, you love me, I don't love you, fuck him, I hate it all. And I was like, what do you listen to? He goes, I listen to jazz. And I was like, oh, I didn't know you were a jazz fan. He's like, I'm not, but I listen to it because people hate fucking jazz. And I love to piss people off. And I was just like, that makes sense. And I was like, well, I can't thank you enough for coming out and playing, man. That was really fucking funny and shit. And he was like, Kevin, you never have to thank me for putting me in a movie, but if you really do want to thank me, please write me my dream role. And I was like, oh my God, I would love to. What is your dream role? And he's like, I've always wanted to play a clergyman who strangles 6 children. And I was just like, I'll think about it. I'll try to figure it out. The next movie I wrote was Jersey Girl. And I sent him the script, FedEx the script, the cover letter going, George, this is Jersey Girl. I want you to play Bart Trinke. It's Ben Affleck's dad in the movie. Let me know what you think. Love, Kevin Smith. And I sent it, and 3 days later, he called me up, and he's like, George. He goes, Kevin, George Carlin. I was like, holy shit, man, did you get the script? He's like, I did. I was like, did you read the script? He goes, I did. I was like, what'd you think? And he goes, well, there's a little girl in it, but I don't strangle her. He goes, when you're the director, I guess you know what you're doing. He was an absolute delight, man. It was so nice. I know we applauded everybody when they popped up, but there was just a little extra brio behind it for George from this crowd. People love the dude, and rightfully so. He did not disappoint. Okay, yes.